What is up, Ran fam? I am Trey Reed, and I'm here with you in a wheat field behind me. You can see we're probably down to our last irrigation. This wheat is starting to dry out. More importantly, what's it look like for the future? So why are we here and what are we doing with this ground? Well, we're prepping it for some of the cash crops. A lot of times we're in rotation with different crops and we need to say, hey, how can we prepare a ground for the future? How do we make soils more disease resistant? How do we get more out of these soils overall? And so this is an example of that. We've got a field that we've split back behind us. It'll be onions next year, and we'll be doing trial data next year as well. But we prepped it with a game changer in the industry, and that is a leading dry fertilizer that's also a biological material. And we've got some options. There's some things that we've done in the past. Compost comes to mind, manure comes to mind, all things with carbon that feed the biological system. They also release a tremendous amount of nutrients, but we don't all have access to as much compost as we'd like to spread. There's costs, there's dollars, and everything else. So we got to be cognizant of that. Here's another option for you guys. I just wanted to point out, we'll do some plant sampling after this, but there is some other biological fertilizers. Game Changer is one of those. We're delivering potassium, phosphorus. We're also putting carbon, humic, all those things into the soil that not only feed the system, but they also change the structure of soils. So calcium is a big one of those. Also, when you look at wheat, standability is a huge issue. So calcium and silica both come into play. We're really checking a lot of boxes with fertilizers like this versus the standard system of applying a mineral soluble fertilizer, a synthetic conventional product. And a lot of times, oftentimes you get a quick burst of availability and then it's just locked up. Out here in these western Treasure Valley soils, we've got a lot of calcium built up. The calcareous soils, they're tremendous tie-up of nutrients. And so as we release these things slowly and biologically over time, it's that more natural flow of feeding plants and the plants feeding the soil. All right, so we are in the front of this wheat field, right where they are laying pipe down for irrigation. I just want to point out, you can just kind of almost tell just by looking at the color right here on the front end. Obviously not a great representation of the field, the edges, but as you pan slightly over to this side, you can see that's right about where the split is. I mean, there's an obvious difference in color. Come with me here. Just looking here ways. Down here, you can see some signs that there's a bit of a nutrient deficiency in there. Might be potassium. Anyway, these things are changing fast and drying out, but showing signs of pumping a lot of the nutrient into a different direction. So we walked out ways into the field. We pulled samples from both sides just to give an accurate representation of what we're looking at here. Okay, so come pan down in here. You can see, again, a ton of this firing right here. And not a super deep dark green color. On both sides, we're picking up some signs of some aphids, as well as a little bit of disease and cereal leaf beetle damage. You'll find that over here on the Regen stuff as well, but just a lot less firing, more just normal desiccation of what you would see in these leaves as they naturally kind of die out. And then just a lot better color up here as well. It's got a really nice deep dark green color to it. So, and you can see that that color lasts down further into these stems versus this. These stems are really kind of losing their gusto. So anyway, all just really good signs that this biological nutrition is pushing up into the crop. It's being utilized, and hopefully at the same time, the biological system is continuing to work out here so we can get better and better every single year. All right, so harvest is right around the corner. We are creeping up at the very end, tail end of June. Harvest will start on this wheat probably mid to late July, and so we're about a month out, a little less, probably 3.5 weeks. And so we're going to keep you posted, keep you up to date on that. Hopefully we'll have some great yield maps and data to show you that goes along with some of this field data. Guess what? wheat harvest is coming to a close. So fields like this that we treated with Game Changer, we are getting some numbers back, and the numbers look awesome. So we want to share that with you. We also want to show you some shots from harvest itself. We got some good drone coverage as it was all going down, and we're going to pop some numbers on the screen, so check this out. All right, so as you can tell, all this wheat's out of the field at this point. Let me just break this down, what we did throughout the season, okay? So in the fall, we applied a Game Changer fertilizer. It's a biologically active, slow release P and K fertilizer. Also has some really important amendments in there as well. Now, here's what happened. We made that application. This was fall planted. We split the field right down the middle. So now we've gone in and we've actually weighed these trucks individually. As the combine's emptied into the truck, it goes across the scales. We're basically tallying up all those scale tickets. Here's what we ended up with. 167.5 bushels on the Game Changer side. Over here on the other side, 147.5. That's a difference of 20 bushel, which is huge, especially off of an already good yield to begin with. But guess what? This is also setting us up for next season. Next season, this will be onions. So we'll start to run through that protocol, right? If you utilize low salt fertilizers, you're gonna be getting the biology engaged. Well, we should be setting ourselves up for a really good next season. The idea being is that really what we do in future years predicts what we do when we get into a cash crop. Now, as we jump into this, next thing up is we're gonna break down all this residue in this field and start to set up for onion season. Join us and stay with us as we go through this process. Thank you for joining us, Ran Fam.